everyone. Welcome to Drinkshares Last Call. Good evening. I'm your host for the night, Kara A.C. Weston, author of She Is the End. And let's do a round of introductions from my lovely co-hosts. Becky, let's start with you.
Okay, my name is Becky Lieber, also known as Rebecca S. Lieber. I am the author of Intrepid and Proxy, which are currently being hosted on Chinillo.com. I've got about 7 chapters of each up, I think, right now, so I'm moving along pretty swiftly. Was there a secret question tonight?
I haven't done the secret. Oh, should I just say it right now and you can do it with your interest? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the secret question is, who wins in a fight, astronaut or caveman?
Astronaut or caveman?
Yes.
That's a really hard question for me to answer.
It is really hard.
That I am a history person and a space lover. So being a history teacher, but an avid wanted to be an astronaut and Trek lover, I think I'm going to have to go with spaceman or with astronaut because he is going to wow the caveman with his shiny toys and tools and stuff. And he is either going to be afraid and run away, or he is going to think spaceman is a god.
Fair enough. Compelling argument, very succinct. Okay, Christine.
I am Christine Brennicke, author of 7 Shards, The Colors of Wine, which you can find in pre-order on Inkshares. And before I tell you if it's going to be an astronaut or caveman, is the fight in space or on Earth?
That's a really good point.
See, like, this is my problem with this question, is that you could ask endless questions to clarify what the situation is. So, I don't know. Sure or not.
Sure.
It could be wherever you want it.
Somewhat, maybe it's
because honestly, like,
I think
really, a lot depends on whether they have tools around them to use, like what tools they have at their disposal.
I honestly think to really mix it up, they have to be like in a fight at the bottom of the ocean where none of them.
Where neither of them.
Is the astronaut in their space suit?
I was going to say, because if they're in their suit, they can live underwater.
Also a good question.
It's tough. Does the caveman have like a pet saber-toothed tiger hanging out with him?
The caveman might.
Hard.
Maybe the caveman has tamed the saber-toothed tiger.
I'm gonna go caveman.
Fair enough.
Pending additional details.
I'll take it. All right, Joe, how about you?
I'm Joe Shaziva. I'm author of Lost Generation, and I can't wait to finish my book, get on with my life.
Ditto.
I'm ready for a new passage in my life. I'm doing this for long enough. And I'm going with Spaceman because I agree with a lot of the stuff that Becky said about the technology overwhelming the caveman. And astronauts are super fit, so an astronaut is probably as fit as a caveman too. And definitely more intelligent. So I think all the advantages are in, as long as like the caveman doesn't get like a sneak attack on the astronaut, I think the astronaut's good.
I think the one thing that he would have to worry about is that the cavemen usually ran in like a pack because they were hunter-gatherers. So as long as they caught like caveman out, like after he had been separated from the rest of the hunting party, I think he'd be okay on a one-on-one
I think
fight.
you guys are forgetting too, like the astronaut might be a pacifist. Like,
Well, and astronauts also run in packs. I mean, like, generally there's not just one astronaut out in space. Usually they're in a crew. Usually they're in a crew.
What if it was John Glenn?
I'm just saying usually.
What if it was Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space?
Same usually.
They were by themselves.
What if it was a caveman that was by himself?
I think cavemen,
that's what I'm saying.
Cavemen have way more fighting experience.
Charlton Heston did pretty good against the apes. And I mean, he was technically.
Didn't he totally lose?
No, at the end, I mean, he like got away, and then they like blew up you monsters and escaped.
Which of the movies are we discussing? Because there was a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I was thinking of the first one.
That's true. Okay, all right, and I am Kara A.C. Weston, author of She Is the End, and you know, there's so many factors to take into account here. It's a terrible question, but it's funny to start thinking about because you're like, who are these people? Yeah, why are they fighting? Why did they start a fight? What if both of them are like, I don't want to fight you, and then they don't fight? You know, maybe they can just commune and learn.
Maybe they could share recipes and
sure
frolic around.
I don't know.
The astronaut could give the caveman dehydrated ice cream to try for the first time.
You can be like, this sucks. Here's some meat.
Yeah, here's some meat.
Yep.
And then the caveman could show him how to like make fire because that's pretty much the technology they had at the time. So.
It's not easy.
But I mean, if they had to fight, like if they were in a cage match or something, like Thunderdome style, then yes, I absolutely think the astronaut wins. Yeah.
See, this is how you stop an author in their tracks.
Caveman has way more bloodlust. They're a hunter.
Well,
they're used to working with really
They could
shitty
have-
tools. So if they could steal a good tool, they'd be amazing.
They could have just as wide of a range of personalities as like our general population. But astronauts are supposed to be level-headed.
They could be like the artist one that blew the paint on their
I have
hand.
a question. What happens when the astronaut accidentally leaves a piece of technology behind? Because clearly time travel is at play here. And then suddenly time is completely altered because
like
somebody left
Encino Man.
That's exactly what I was
Saw
thinking.
the guy out.
I totally thought Encino Man.
What an
Present day,
excellent or 90s throwback.
That's where we're from.
I love Brendan Fraser so much.
Tony
I
said-
loved Brendan Fraser so much. Loved.
There you go.
I think it's important to make
I
sure
love him now.
past tense.
Tony in the chat said Buzz Aldrin punched out a moon landing denier, which is kind of like a dumb caveman.
Yeah,
he says
go Buzz
Spaceman.
Aldrin. Yeah.
Does the
Awesome.
chat have
All
any
right.
pro caveman opinions?
not a lot.
Anyone have my back?
And I thought Caveman versus Spaceman would be a really good band name.
Yeah, I'd go see them. That'd be a good like you know those like linen printed band logos that they cut out.
It could be a T.
That would look cool on
An
one of those.
Adagio T.
Oh, it could.
All right, well, let's move on to what are you drinking, what are you reading? And then we can begin our discussion for the evening about beta readers. So, who wants to go first?
I'll get
Is it
mine out of the
water?
way. I'm drinking water and I'm not reading a damn thing.
Boom!
Just
Carry on.
slap everyone with it.
You're just
Okay.
not drink sharing at all.
I shared the drink that I had and then that was it. I got to get my book done. That's all I got to do.
Good for you, Joe. Good for you.
Mhm.
Okay, Christine?
All right, I am drinking beautiful mulled wine. It's tasty and delicious because it finally feels a little bit like fall. The summer has ended for real at long last. And I just finished reading 50% of They Are the Last. Or She Is. They Are the Last. She Is the End.
Believe me, when I
Great.
first saw Elena's book on Inkshares, I was like, hey, she named her book like I named my book. So I totally just latched on her just because she had a similar sense for our
It's a
name.
similar title.
I do not blame you for that.
They're both
But
good names. Good book names.
She is the end. So,
She
you
Is
ready?
the End, yes.
First half of my book.
I
Because
did,
you're
and I
a
loved
beta
it.
reader for
And
me.
it's true, I am.
It's relevant to the topic.
Yeah, so that was awesome. And then I also just started taking a look at Intrepid, which is Becky's book on Chinillo.
Yay! I'm so glad you're finally reading that because I had a huge breakthrough this weekend. I've written more this weekend than I had since I started my new job, which was really refreshing. So
Great.
we'll have to talk about that later because
Okay.
Wyatt hasn't read it yet, and I'm pissed.
Ooh.
He was supposed to read it today. His brother-in-law, or I'm sorry, my brother-in-law came over, his brother, and granted, they were very, very, very productive today. They got a lot of stuff done. They were supposed to get done like weekends ago, so I'm happy for that. But at the same time, I was like, you had one job, so that was my day. Did I mention I didn't take my medication today?
That's what Becky's
Let's
drinking.
just cover that right at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there right now. Christine, did you finish? Because I don't want to.
I did. I'm finished. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to just totally blow into what you were saying. But currently, I am drinking Angry Orchard Sinful Apple, which I found on the mix and match thing at County Market the other day. I'm sure they sell it in 6-packs or whatever. But I only bought one. It tastes like apple cider with a shot of Fireball in it. So it's pretty cinnamony. I don't know if I could drink more than one. It's good, but it's definitely not like a long sipping by the fire kind of drink. It's like that's a cool taste. Now give me another beer or something. So, but that's what I'm drinking tonight. I'm sticking to one because I may or may not have had very many as of last Friday when many of us had to hang out to talk about writing stuff. So I'm sticking with one tonight.
Oh yeah, Becky was drunk, you guys.
There may or may not have been a accidental frozen bottle of wine that I drank, which turned into slush. But anyway, I'm reading.
So
actually,
wine slushy?
Yeah, it was like a wine slushy. Long story short, I put wine in the freezer to cool off because I was impatient and I forgot about it. So the next day I had wine slushy. Anyway, I couldn't get the thing to print out, so you have to deal with my crappy double like glare stuff on my tablet.
It's showing up well.
Yeah,
okay,
we can
good.
see it pretty well.
Good. This is called Firewalkers, and it is by an author named Taylor Eaton, who is on Chanilla right now. And the synopsis is really intriguing to me. It's firewalkers are feared by everyone, powerful and destructive. They have spent the last few centuries in isolation from the rest of the world, but recently they've started emerging from the walls of their cities. People around the world fear them, cults worship them, and no one knows what they want. Adeline Wardrop, the only person rumored to have ever succeeded in killing a firewalker, sets out to find answers and pay back an overdue debt. In her efforts to help put the world right, she becomes two things she never wanted to be, a legend and a killer. It's really cool. It's super original. It's set in a world unlike any that I've read about so far. It is fantasy, but it's also got spacey elements to it that kind of go unspoken. There are flares all the time in the world that they live in, so people are constantly having to go inside buildings and wait for these like solar flares to stave off, and it gets super, super hot, like you would die if you were outside. And that's what fuels these firewalkers. And the legends are all about how these people became so angry because they were enslaved that they made a deal with some, I think it was like a demon or something. It's been a while since I started the book, but they made a deal with some entity that gave them these abilities, and now they regret it. So it's really cool. It's on Chanillo.com, and it's got about 80 chapters right now, but the chapters are pretty short. Yeah, the chapters are kept pretty short though because it's a digital publishing format. So the whole thing behind Chanillo chapters is they want you to be able to read it in like 5 minutes. So you can read it, like if you want to sit down and read all day, you can, but if you want to sit down and just be like, all right, I'm in the doctor's office and I want to read a couple chapters before I get called while I'm waiting, you can do that too. So, but I'm really enjoying it and it's really cool.
Nice.
Awesome. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Cool. Well, I am drinking, as always, of course, water. I wish I were drinking wine, though. And I am still reading Rise because it's hella long. I am approximately, I think I'm right about halfway through now. It's a really long book. And it's I still think it's really good. It's different than I thought it was going to be. But it's still, it's good and interesting, and I recommend it. If you like fantasy stuff, yeah. What I said last time. If you like Dune, check out Rise. It's similar. There are elements that there's like deserts and speeders that obviously my mind just imagines Star Wars speeders speeding through the desert. And there are dragons. Some people don't realize this. Apparently it's not something he capitalized on a lot of as far as advertising the book, but yes, there are dragons. And I guess people turn into dragons too sometimes, but not always. Anyway, read the book. It's good. So with that, let's talk about beta reading. Yay!
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
First of all, I gotta say your mileage may vary for all of the stuff we're talking about. No, you do you. But in essence, what we're talking about is beta reading, which is when you have your manuscript and you send it off to various other people. They read through it and give you comments in lots of different ways, and then send it back to you, and you take into the account all of these different opinions. And I like to differentiate it from developmental editing because, well, mostly because of my actual personal experience, which is that developmental editing is like right there in it, and like maybe changing the actual like structure of your whole novel and critiquing like big story elements. Whereas beta reading, I think, can be anything from just a general like reflection on which characters you liked and didn't like versus, I don't know. I mostly ask people to tell me what parts were confusing and what parts were boring.
I think that's the hardest part when you're beta reading, is trying to explain to somebody, no, I've explained it clearly, and you clearly haven't, because a person is confused. But you have this detailed, vivid, real life thing going on in your head. It's like a movie reel, and so you know every intricate piece of it. You know how detailed it is in your head, and conveying that on paper is so hard because you can do it eloquently and beautifully and still not do the level of depth that you have in your brain. So Wyatt and I get in discussions all the time when he's reading for me that I have clearly explained this thing, and if it wasn't clearly explained within this chapter, it was foreshadowed earlier or something. And so that's one of my biggest things that I am constantly dealing with as a writer is, I know I did my job, why aren't you doing your job? And that's just me being really selfish because I want to feel like I did a really good job writing when maybe I didn't all the time.
Yes, yeah, I absolutely have gone through the same thing. And I read one comment that I've gotten back that that was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they do it this way? And I realized that I cut out like 10,000 words of world building, and I tried to make it as succinct as possible. And I just maybe need to add some stuff back in because maybe cut a little bit too much if it's going to be confusing people, because I want people to just like slide right through my book very smoothly and not get hung up on anything. If they're getting hung up on stuff that I know the answer to, but I don't give the answer for why things are this way in my book, I got to fix it. So, guys, when should we utilize beta readers? Any opinions? When in the process?
I don't know, that's hard to say because after I finish a chapter, the first person I give it to is Wyatt. Like, I'm like, read this. And it's mostly for just that. Like, did I get my dialogue across in a way that sounds human? Did I describe it in a way that makes it seem visual and not just very flowery, I guess? Did I avoid purple prose, basically? But I always give it to somebody to read, mostly because I feel like if someone's not reading my writing actively, then I'm not really writing. I don't know why that is, but I feel like somebody has to be constantly engaging with my writing to make it feel like I'm doing something with it. So even if I'm not writing new stuff, I'm maybe editing the stuff that they've given me.
Interesting. Yeah, Christine, what about you?
Well, I know when not to because I screwed this up last year. Don't do it before you're at least mostly done with your rewrites and self-editing. Because last year I thought that, hey, if I give my book to people in chunks and knowing that they're waiting on the next chunk will make me finish it really fast because they're waiting for it. But that doesn't happen. So wait until you're actually like at least done like 90% of it before you start letting anyone read it, unless you have like a situation where someone's kind of doing developmental edits as you're writing. But as far as the group of beta readers go, like don't send it off too soon because then you'll just feel bad.
See, and
that's how it was when I was fan fictioning.
Ah.
I found that even I had to hold back on showing stuff to Alex, my husband, my developmental editor, too soon because he would look at things and if I didn't have it to a place where it really worked and fit in the story, made sense, and I was like communicated what I was trying to do clearly, he would just tear it apart, and I'd be like, I just want you to tell me if you think this is a cool idea or not. Like, you don't need to be line editing this, for heaven's sakes. It was too soon. So that part of that is just learning how to work with different people.
Yeah, that is the problem of
trust.
Handing off your freshly baked new writing to somebody. It's like having just given birth and somebody like, man, that's an ugly kid. And you're like, no, it's not. It's beautiful. You just don't understand it. Like, you're so emotionally attached to what you just wrote because it's fresh in your
before
head
the kid's been cleaned off.
Shut up about my child.
That's exactly what it's like. It's like the placenta is still clinging to the child, and you're like,
take
look
the
at
baby
my baby
pictures yet, okay?
That's an ugly baby.
Wait a couple hours.
Oh, yep. Yes.
I guess I'll eat this.
Joe, any thoughts?
Never beta read. People are the worst.
I think somebody else forgot to take his medication today too.
I love everything you're bringing to the table tonight, Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the snark tonight. I
I really appreciate it because that is the mood that I'm in as well tonight.
I got you.
All right. So how do you pick who your beta readers are, and how many?
It's really hard when you're a new author.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy thing.
You can't just trust anybody.
People aren't clamoring to do it
because some people give really bad advice.
Mm-hmm. Or have
you gotta be careful.
Strong opinions that aren't relevant.
Yes. Yeah. It's tricky. I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. Other authors are usually good.
One of the scariest things about beta reading too is you get that first taste of you know in your heart when you're writing the story, not everyone's gonna like your story, but you don't expect for those people to come crawling out of the woodwork so quickly. So when you do get a bad read and it's really heart-wrenching and you're like, well, this just isn't your thing. I get it's not your genre or the characters weren't really relatable to you specifically or whatever, but that's really hard when you get a bad review coming straight off of what you've written.
Ooh. Yeah, you definitely want people that at least know the genre and ideally like it.
Right.
Yeah. If you're writing, sci-fi and you give your book to someone who hates sci-fi, then I don't know. You got to know what you're trying to get out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that it's better to have someone who knows you and then understands what you're going for, understands your genre, understands your personality, the way you speak, to understand your dialogue? Or do you think it's better to have someone who's like as cold turkey as possible, where we kind of know each other pretty well, but we can still give each other an honest opinion of betas because we're writers? So do you think that you need someone cold turkey and far removed from you as a person to give you an honest opinion? Or do you think you need someone who's close to you?
Both.
I think it needs to be both.
One of each.
You should have
Both,
if not more.
and in the middle too.
Yes. Yeah, I tried to go as broad as possible. People who are authors and can critique like the things that maybe most readers don't notice, and then people who are not writers, who won't maybe even know how to express some of the things that are bugging them, but still. There's
people that are active in book clubs would be really good because they're used to kind of dissecting a book and talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and because we surround ourselves with other creative types, we tend to forget that not everybody is creative type, or the majority of people in our lives are not writers. So it's really hard to not expect them to be able to give a critique about character development and not something just like, yeah, I liked it. It was good. Okay, what was good? Well, I liked this part. It was funny. Okay, what was funny about it? Like, we want these really in-depth critical analysis, like we're in comm class reading English lit or Russian lit or something like that. And they're just like, yeah, I liked it. I'm like, that's it? You've had it for 3 days and you liked it? So that's frustrating too. And you don't mean to be that way, but it's because you've put so much into it and you really want it to be the best version it can be. And when someone gives you a lackluster review, it's hard.
And I want both.
You need that from beta reading.
I want some people who are going to be like, this part and this part and this part and this part and this part need work, and this is the work that you need to do on it, and this is why it doesn't work, and this is what you could do to improve it, but that's just a suggestion. I need that. And I also would love to have a few people just say, I really liked it. I don't know what else to say. It was awesome. You know, that would be nice, because it would help me get through all of the other really harsh comments that are like, honestly, I expected much better from you.
Well, did you get that comment, Kara?
Yes.
Oh, no.
That kind of brings us to another thing that we talked about on our plan day, was kind of giving people jobs. Like, if you know somebody, especially if you are friends with other writers and you can trust them to critique your work, being like, hey, I really appreciate the way you write dialogue, or hey, your scenery, like when you're writing description and scenery and all of that is really fantastic. If you give people jobs, they can just focus on that one thing. So they are reading the whole story, but they're not so overwhelmed of trying to critique the entire book. They're just reading for particulars, like the imagery was fantastic and the imagery really needs work. This character was great, but this one's a little flat. I think you need to focus on them because they're the main character or something. You know, so if by giving them jobs and tasks, it helps them orient their critique and take a little pressure off of them, but it also helps you because you get more stylized and specific critiques on exactly what you want from a myriad of sources.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I didn't do that, but that's a good point. Like, if I had picked people based on what I know that they're particularly good at, and then asked them to pay attention to that thing, you know, that's a good idea. I did not do that, but maybe in the future I will.
Right, but that's a luxury that you have if you're friends with other writers who.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can't just
and you have to know what kind of feedback they're good at, like in advance. Which, hey, for book 2, you'll have that knowledge.
Yeah, and maybe I'll have people willing to also read my second book once I finish that. All right. Any thoughts on how many beta readers are good?
More, I would say the more the better, because most of them won't do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially when you're a new author. I assume that, like, you know, as you get more books under your belt, you kind of have your go-to people that are reliable. But when you're starting out, you don't know who those people are yet. So hedge your bets.
What's funny is the reason I actually know Elena is because she was one of the first people that was like, I love this story. Please let me read it. Like, I want to help. And then she got involved in her own campaign, and then mine turned into a campaign, and then we kind of like lost touch with each other. And then when the show started up, we reconnected. We're like, oh, that was you. Hey, still want to read my stuff?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Rick has a bit of advice for us that I fully agree with. If six people all say one thing and one person says something different, you can safely ignore the one. And I think that's probably true. Especially if it's something about, like, the action in the scene being confusing, or you know, stuff that might trip up a lot of people, but some people just won't be bothered by a thing.
Or maybe extra,
or vice versa, you know.
I have an extra advice.
Yeah.
If you do have that situation and you're having a hard time ignoring it, and you're like, oh God, like, maybe this is true and everyone else is nice, share that feedback with someone else that read it and have them respond to it and see, like, say, hey, can you let me know, you know, what you agree with and what you disagree with on this person's feedback. That way you'll get like more of a firm opinion on it.
Yes. And also, I'm not reading the show notes closely enough, but are we at the point where we say that it's okay to disregard anybody's advice in general?
Well, that's
it's
the
okay.
You can always say that, yeah.
The beautiful thing about free advice is it's free, and there's a lot of people giving it to you. Like, you asked for it, they gave it to you. Social contract, like, you've met your obligations. Like, I appreciate you taking the time. I will take this into consideration. While in the back of your head, you're like, there's no way I'm going to do that, but I really appreciate your honesty. So yeah, it's totally acceptable to do that. But you also have to remember, if they said it, there is a reason they said it. They aren't necessarily right. They're not necessarily wrong, but it's worth taking a look at. And once you reread it or play with it a little bit and you're like, no, I like it the way it is, I feel it's strong, then you can thoroughly ignore it. But at least acknowledge it at first and wait for, like we said, if other people say something about it later on, like keep it in the back of your head. And then if it becomes a problem later, you're like, okay, I acknowledge that this is something that needs to be fixed.
Yes, one bit of advice that I read before I sent my book out was to wait until you get all of the comments within a reasonable amount of time back in and go through them all before you start making changes, because because it's very, you can go through and mark the spots in your manuscript where you need to work on stuff based on the feedback that people give you. And maybe only one person was confused in one spot and a lot of people were confused, or they give completely opposite opinions, which has also happened in my feedback that I'm getting from my beta readers. Two completely opposite opinions.
Was I one of them?
Yes, you were.
I think I know what that was. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I feel strongly about my point too.
I appreciate that. I do. And it's really when you got to ask yourself, like, what is the identity of my book? What am I going for here? What direction do I want to lean? You know,
who's your target audience?
Who's my audience? Who am I trying to please? I know who I'm trying to please. So yeah, you gotta know your own book and what you're going for, and not just be a pushover.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's your book. You know, everyone's gonna have a different opinion about it, but you can't let other opinions turn it into a completely different book. Like, you own it. It's your intellectual property.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like it would be like a movie, you know, where the movie comes out and it's terrible, and all of the like the director and just says that the studio was interfering, like studio interference. They had lots of notes and tried to tweak everything, and then it turns into something that's a terrible mush.
Mess. Yeah, the vision was lost.
Speaking of books and movies today, I have a great story that happened because I was almost a terrible teacher just for the sake of hilarity today, because we have we have book reports due at the end of the quarter on October 14th. And I have a student who I found out today hasn't even cracked her book yet. And she's decided, I'm going to read The Lovely Bones because I saw the movie. And part of me knows that the movie is very different than the book. And I just want to be like, yeah, do your book report on the movie. That's a great idea. Because that evil teacher part of me that sometimes wants students to really like reap the consequences of their inaction wanted her to get busted so bad. But then like I came to my senses and I was like, you can't do that. It's different. So I earned my karma points for today. But like some part of me really wanted to let her just fall on her face. How are they going to learn?
It's true. It's tough.
That's tough. That's a tough call.
Tough, yes. Hey, what do you guys think about like paying your beta readers?
I've heard that people do that. I have no money, so
I think trading time or trading skills is a better option, because if you are both writing, sorry, my cinnamon apple stuff's coming back up. If you have skills that are worthy of trading, like if they beta read for you and you design a book cover for them, or if you beta read for them while they beta read for you, or you help them with marketing stuff or whatever, trade skills before you start thinking about trading money. I think that's a way better use of everyone's time. Plus, you
unless
can use that
you
for a
have a bunch of money.
Right, if you're rich, I mean, here's the thing,
Yeah,
if you're
you got
rich
money,
and have
give it
endless
away.
resources, you're probably
Sure.
vanity publishing, so.
Yeah,
But
I think I'm
feel
gonna do
like-
a lot of beta swapping.
Yeah, I think you build a portfolio that way, and that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to give bottles of wine to my beta readers if I physically am able to.
Ooh.
Well, didn't you have some brilliant plan for all of the different like colors of wine, each being an actual sellable
Oh, that's
wine?
for like my like lottery dreams. If
Yeah.
I just get lots and
You
lots
have a
of
lot of
money from somewhere.
Cool ideas. You have cool ideas.
People should give me money and then I can act on those ideas. And it'll be cool.
Just trust me. Give me your money. It'll be cool. It'll be cool.
It'll be worth it.
If
Totally.
only Philip J. Fry was around more often. Just take my money.
Yeah.
Do it.
I am planning on maybe trying to offer some money to my beta readers. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I don't know how much, and I don't actually know how many of them are going to respond yet. But right now, I think I have 6.
Oh, that's
people in the
good.
process.
Or
Yeah.
6 responses?
People who have indicated that they're actually writing comments down somewhere, as opposed to
Nice.
just they said yes, I'll beta read and received it, and I haven't heard a peep from them. But
That's
so
me.
I don't know. I don't hold it against you.
Joke.
It's gonna get. I gotta read Liam's too, and it's gonna get there. It's just gonna
It's
be a little
okay. Don't worry. I asked like 15 people for this exact reason because I just know people. I'm not gonna hold it against you. It's fine.
Yeah. Expect people to be people.
No problem at all.
People, not people.
Okay, so when you contact your beta readers, do you provide them instructions?
Yes.
Specific, general, what do you do?
I think it depends on what you want out of the beta read. And some people might get more specific instructions than others, especially if you're doing more targeted critiques for specific people, giving them jobs. You're going to give them, I just want you to focus on this. Whereas if you have, like, if your sister is going to do a beta read for you and she's not into writing and isn't going to give you a hard critique, but you just want like the average Joe picking up a book off the shelf, then just tell me what you think. Just give me your first impressions from reading the book. So it really depends.
Even then, I think it still helps to give a couple of like prompts, because not everyone like knows how to approach it. Not everyone realizes what you're looking for. I think a lot of times people go in and they start like proofreading it and pointing out all the spelling errors. It's like, no,
That's
we're not
editing.
at that stage yet.
Yeah, you got to make that clarification. I have actually 2 people who are proofreading my book as they beta read because they kind of help themselves, which is great. Sure, do it. It's just that, like, you should be paid for that work.
I
That's
did
work.
a little bit of that, but I held back.
Well,
I
hey,
held back.
if you want to mark the errors, do it. I will appreciate it. It's just that I can't pay you the fair rate for proofreading. It's a lot of work. So
yeah, since I give my stuff fresh, sometimes I don't even read it before I give it to Wyatt because I want him to read it raw and be like, okay, this is an area that needs work or this isn't, so I don't have to do as much back editing in the long run. And that's the first thing he does is goes through and he's like, when I talk to him the next day, because he'll take it to work and read it while he's at work, sitting on the radio for like hours at a time with like, crickets in the background until a 911 call will come in, and I'll be like, okay, so what did you think of this particular scene? He goes, well, I found 6 spelling errors. I'm like, okay, thank you. And it's always like, you keep missing this one word, or I was confused because a pronoun was he and it should have been she. And I'm like, okay, that's appreciated, but I need a more specific answer to my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to our favorite friend, G. Derek Adams, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
About what he did, and he said he showed me what he sent out for one of his books, and it was a list of very specific questions about like individual scenes.
Topical
Did this
things.
scene work? Did you notice this aspect about this character? Like really in depth. I
liked that, because usually there's a couple things that you're worried about. So if you can elicit feedback about those things, then you'll feel better once you've gotten all the responses, because you'll know that someone actually paid attention to it and told you it's okay, or, oh yeah, that wasn't really clear now that you mention it.
Yeah, I think as long as you give yourself the opportunity to have some feedback from someone who's going in completely cold and doesn't know any of the stuff that you're feeling self-conscious about or worried about, then it's fine to ask a few people that you trust for their opinions on that stuff.
Yeah, and it's good if you're gonna do that, have them like make sure they read it first and then look at the questions after reading it. because you don't want to like put seeds in their head of, oh, you know, they're, I don't, whatever the things you're worried about are, like they're expecting them, so they're gonna look at it if you tell them those questions first.
That's a really good point, is influencing them accidentally because you're looking for something very specific. So then it's like they're going out of their way to find that one thing. Like, oh, the character must be flawed, or the description must be terrible, or the setting must suck, or whatever, because you are worried about it. So it's almost like, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I think I was glad that he shared that with us, because I was originally planning on just making comments next to the sections that I had specific worries about. And now I'm not going to do that.
We have to fill now because Kara's saying goodnight to her children.
Oh, okay. So, Joe, you haven't read Kara's book at all, right?
I have not. Well, I started reading the first chapter
A little bit?
and then
Okay.
light caught on fire. And
As it does.
yeah, it's been that way ever since. So I hope to get back to some bit of normalcy and sit down and enjoy a good read.
Nice.
And I've only read the parts that she had posted up. Now, she had several parts posted up on her Inkshares pages, which was really nice. So I got through a good chunk of the beginning of the book. But once she actually started putting out the feelers for who was wanting to beta read, I wanted to be beta reading really bad, but it was on top of what I already had going on. And my basket of shenanigans is just overflowing as it is. So as much as I would love to be reading more, because I'm to the point where I'm invested in the characters now. Like, I'm on board, I'm in the book, like, I understand what's going on, and now I want to see what happens. So I'm invested, and I can't be because stupid life happened.
Did you guys start talking about me while I was busy?
Yeah, we were talking about who has read what stages of your book.
Oh, yeah.
And
I gotta replace the episodes that I have up on Inkshares because I have much improved them.
How many do you have up there? That's what we were talking about. Because I've only read, you had 3. Okay.
Then
Yeah,
I have 3 episodes up.
I feel like I've read more than that, though. So maybe you gave me access to something.
They're not chapters.
Oh.
They are episodes. They have chapters.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I've started splitting them up into chapters, and I think it works pretty well. And yeah, they're each, I'm trying to keep them to 10,000 words long. And some of them are a lot longer than that. But 12 episodes in the book.
Joseph from the chat suggests, do you suggest finding readers with specific strengths to target different aspects of the book, i.e. finding a football coach to read about a sports story to see if it comes off as realistic?
That's a good example.
Or do you think you want to have beta readers who more so mirror your preferred audience?
So the question I would have is that beta reading, though, or is that something you would do in the research stages to figure out if you need to do more research?
I guess it would be part of the beta reading, I think, if you want to, like, because I mean that's what an editor would say is like, hey, this doesn't make sense. That's not how football is played.
Right.
I would say I would go with like 80% of your beta readers should be your target audience, and then there should be a couple or a few that you're choosing for a specific reason outside of being your target audience.
I guess it depends on what your goal is, because like I am not going to find a Homeland Security agent to read my book for me to tell me whether the Homeland Security agent is realistic or not. I don't actually really care all that much. Like I know some of it's going to be unrealistic, and she does stuff that is not probably what a real Homeland Security agent would do, but she's a character in the book, and it's fiction. I don't know.
Maybe like if there is like someone that was an expert on women's studies and diversity or something like that, maybe you'd want them to read it to let you know if they had any thoughts, because you want to make sure that.
Well, yes, I have done that.
That sounds like a plug for a future show, Christine.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, I definitely sought out diverse beta readers. in the hopes that some of them would point out if I did something terrible so that I could fix it before my book goes out, you know, because I definitely don't want to be inadvertently racist or something. So yeah. I'm consulting a variety of types of people for their opinions on those kinds of things.
Yeah, once you get the thing in
Makes
print, you
sense.
don't want to find out that it was horrifically offensive.
Oops. You played on a disgusting
Not by
stereotype.
accident. Some people are going for offensive, but
Good.
That's
I'll just fall off my chair. I was sneezing on it like an idiot.
Well, it's not as if like Kara's
Getting
writing the
distracted.
biography of Donald Trump, so I don't think she has to worry about being
that would be an
blatant.
interesting read written by Kara.
no, it
In
would
Kara's
just be like
words. There'd be so many all caps.
It would be the shortest book ever because it would just be like, he's a dick, don't vote for him. The end.
blank pages with some vomit on them. That's what the book is. Just a vomit. That's it. There you go.
Instant bestseller.
Oh, geez. No, what we need to do is come up with one of those ideas, like the guy who was like, wrote the erotic fan fiction with Donald Trump and like a bellboy at his
BuzzFeed thing.
and it was like 20 pages long, and he wrote it when he was drunk, and he's made like a gazillion dollars off of it.
What?
So
Yeah.
not that this is comparable to, like, it's obviously not like softcore porn or anything like that, but I found this interesting because I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be sarcasm or if it was supposed to be genuine. But when I was at Five Below the other day, which is like a dollar store that we have around here and everything's below
that's
$5.
national, I think.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, if you go to Five Below and you are a Hillary Clinton supporter, it was like the history of Hillary Clinton's life in a coloring book. And so like each page was a different like period from her life. So like when she was little and when she was going to school and when she was in law school and when she met Bill and when she was the first lady of Arkansas, all the way up through the presidential campaign. And so each page had what I want to say is real life pictures that they had turned into coloring sheets, because one of the pages was her on the plane with the sunglasses and the phone. And that's like, if you go to the last page, it's just that in a circle. But the commentary in the book, because it was like a story on one page and coloring sheets on the other, and the commentary was a little jaded. So I wasn't sure if this was somebody like trying to do satire or if it was somebody that was trying to.
They were probably trying to straddle that line so they
Right.
could make everyone happy.
Right, but it was, I should have bought it and I didn't, but it was funny to see.
I'm gonna go to Five Below and see if I can find
Yeah,
it.
see if you can find one. Because if I go back, I didn't end up buying anything that day, so I didn't want to just buy like a coloring book. So if I go back and buy something later and it's still there, I'm totally gonna pick one up.
Nice.
Okay, guys, let's hit on a topic really quick. Actually, wait, are we going another 40 minutes or another 10 minutes?
I vote 10 because I have a meeting in the morning. But if I dodge out at 9, you guys are welcome to go on, and I'll just give my unsolicited advice before I go.
Good. Yes. I wasn't sure. I marked it for an hour and a half. And it can end whenever we want because we're the
Okay.
bosses.
I'm game
Alright.
for the after party tonight, so we can end and then do that.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see how the next 10 minutes goes.
Okay.
But let's talk a little bit about being on the beta reader end of things.
Oh, right.
What's up?
Definitely.
So what do you think? Because
Right,
Christine, you're being a beta reader right now.
Yeah. All right. So if someone casually asks you to be a beta reader, or if you would like to, and you're like, sure, why not? Don't just say sure, why not? Like, actually think, hey, do I have time and energy to do this? Am I going to do it seriously? And then answer after you've thought about that. Because yeah, it's just it's tough. The writer is really, really, really going to appreciate your feedback. But it also, like, it at the same time, even though they're very grateful for the responses they get, like, it can suck for them to not know, like, if they're waiting and they don't know if something's coming. especially if they wait, and then they get nothing. Like, that's not cool. So think about it before you agree to do it.
Good advice. I agree. But then again, I mean, like, the authors just need to, you got to remember not to hold it against people.
Yeah,
if they
things
don't
come
ever
up,
follow
they get
through.
busy.
People have lives.
It's
You're not
life.
paying them.
Yeah.
Yes. Be merciful to your beta readers. They're doing you a favor.
Mhm.
Or they're not doing you a favor, as it may be. And I have read one book recently. I should be doing Rockets by Liam Dines, but I am not reading it because I'm trying to finish my book. But I read Dax Harrison.
Valid reason.
Oh
yeah, that's right.
Valdez. And I'm not going to talk about that specifically, but one thing that came to mind when I started getting feedback from some of my readers was that it's worth it, I think, and it's respectful to try and think about what the author is going for, like what they're trying to accomplish with their book, and not try and give advice to change their book into something that it's not, that it's not
Right.
going to be. Try and make it the best version of the book that this author is writing, as opposed to the best version of the book that you would have written if you were the author.
Exactly.
But you are not the author.
Yeah. Also, I'd say, like, try not to go in, like, as a critique. Like, it's good to have some critical thought and to point out some of that, but don't treat the beta read as a giant critique of the book. Treat it as like you're the test audience.
There's some shit happening over here in this chat.
Joe laughed at it, so I'm not in trouble.
Well, you have to share.
No.
It's not appropriate.
I won't say it live.
Oh dear. I'm gonna go look at that chat.
That's just for anybody who watches the stream.
Okay.
Anybody who watches the stream will have to come and watch a live show, because then you miss out on these hot side takes.
Oh no.
Does anybody
Sorry,
have any drunk opinions?
Oh.
Don't let
Anybody
Becky
have
in the
any drunk
chat.
opinions?
Becky.
yes. Did I have drunk opinions or just unsolicited advice?
I don't know.
I just had unsolicited advice. So would you like me to go ahead and give unsolicited advice?
Yes, give it.
Okay. I have a quote that I used to keep up on my wall that I have had for years, and I think it is really applicable tonight. I think I've said it before in videos, but I actually found the whole quote so I can read it and not misquote it, and it's by Neil Gaiman. And it's really great when you look at how you want feedback from people, but how you also expect to process that feedback. So the quote that he wrote was, "Remember, when people tell you something's wrong or doesn't work for them, they're almost always right. When they tell you exactly what they think is wrong and how to fix it, they're almost always wrong." I really like this quote because it's really important to keep in mind they are not writing your book. While it is very important to keep the reader's perspective in mind and making sure you're clarifying and making sure it's enjoyable, it's also important to remember they don't know your entire story. So if they read the book or just a portion of the book, if it's a series, there might be things going on in that first book that they aren't privy to yet. So it's really hard for them to understand this didn't make sense because there's more coming, because that might be a loose end that you weren't planning on tying up until book 6. So it's important to keep in mind when someone tells you how to fix something, unless they're coming from a perspective of they had this similar problem and that's why they think you should do it like this because that's what helped them. If they're just telling you, well, I think you should write your story this way, they're wrong. But if they pointed out that there's something wrong with it in the first place, they're almost always right. Even if it's one person. And I know we talked about how if it's just one person, you can kind of be like, okay, that's your opinion, which is totally fair. But it's important. It can be. But it's important to, like I said, at least acknowledge that, because if it piqued one person's attention in a negative way, it might pique others who aren't beta reading for you and having the option to say, I didn't get this part, or B, that might not even say anything about it if they are. So it might just be something that irritated them, but they didn't see it as like, you know, just I'll let that one go. Because
Did you say where the quote was from yet?
yeah, it was from Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently there's this
Wonderful.
podcast called Script Notes that my husband listens to, and he says that they have talked about such things too. How the feedback is often, like the advice on how to fix something is not right, but it helps you realize where there's a problem somewhere, and then you have to figure out what the problem is, because often people don't realize what the actual problem is that they're pointing out.
Man, if my paintings weren't in storage right now, I would be able to tell an art story about how this exact scenario happened in art class. But I can't.
But we'll just,
Sorry.
That's a good anecdote.
Awesome.
I tried. That's how my
I guess I
stories
think
go.
that-
They're like, oh, okay, it's nice, Christine.
Like that's why it's important to, well, you just got to do your due diligence, and like Becky said, at least just like consider and actually think about everything that people say, because hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference between something that might be an actual legitimate problem that you need to fix versus something that's just somebody's tastes or just their style coming through when it's not your style. You know, you just gotta just think critically. It takes a lot of time and effort. You got to build that process in to your writing of your book, because it will make it much better. It really will. And we love our beta readers. I love you guys that are beta reading my book, Christine.
Woo! Yeah.
I don't love you other two ones. Just kidding, I do.
Just not as much.
Just kidding. I love you all equally for different reasons.
Fair.
Well, all right. Is anybody drunk? Anybody have an opinion? Christine?
I'm not drunk anymore.
Oh, man. What do you mean? You were drunk in the middle of the show and then it went
I was
away?
drunk before the show.
I'm in there.
I
Guilty.
sobered up.
So do you not
man.
have work tomorrow or something, or do you just have a really rough day?
Me?
Yeah.
No, it's just wine moves quickly, and it was
Gotcha.
hot, and that made it move faster.
And it's fall, and it's nice to drink a nice drink.
I
in the fall.
know. It's not sweltering hot, and I'm not sweating. It's great.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Well, we're going to move along to the end of the show and on to the after party. Everyone is invited to join, whoever wants to, and it's free. Joe, do you want to do our salutations?
Yes.
End of show salutations.
Yes. Thanks for watching our show. It is great, and you are great for watching it. For those of you that are listening, consider there's dog actually going here now. You cannot focus on anything, so
There's the dog.
we're gonna work through this real fast. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. There's gonna be lots of exciting things coming in 2017.
Yeah, there will.
And a lot
Things are
more
happening.
interesting content is on the way.
There's going to be babies, books, and surprises.
Yeah.
Lots of new stuff. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you would like to join the after party, well, you're going to have to go stalk the Drinkshares Last Call Twitter, because we will post the link there.
We will. I will. I think I'll do that.
Yes.
Do I know how to do that?
I will send you. Well, yeah, it's,
It will help me
it's
do
the
that.
same link. I'll show you how.
Don't worry about
You
it.
cut the
Pay no
broadcast.
attention to the hosts behind the curtain.
We've
We will
got this. We've got this.
Take it. we
Nobody
will take
here.
care of it.
So-
Everything's fine. Nothing's ruined.
So is it sad that when I was posting the Bitly link on my Twitter earlier for the show, and I saw that one of our past episode Bitly links that I set up had 57 clicks, I was like, "Fuck yeah, 57 clicks!"
That's good clicks.
I was excited. Those are big double-digit numbers. That's exciting.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
that's super awesome.
Joe, do you have any idea, just out of curiosity, what the average number of viewers per show is after the show airs?
It's usually in the 20s by the next morning.
That's pretty cool. Because I know that we've had episodes in the hundreds already, which is also super exciting.
Yeah,
so.
over time they usually creep up to about 100. I think they used to. I haven't checked the analytics in a little bit.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
So if you've been watching the show from the beginning, you can tell your friends, "Hey, I was there from day one. I was episode 2, or I was watcher 2 on episode 3, or whatever."
I watched episode 0.
That's right. Have we talked about Halloween yet?
Not yet.
We haven't, but let's talk about it.
Okay.
So Halloween this year falls on a Monday. Since 2 of the co-hosts have children, and we would absolutely hate to take away that day from them because that's a kid's favorite holiday, and also / pretty much a parent's favorite holiday because they get to dress their little kids up in either super cute or super embarrassing costumes that they made by hand and will get to then use it in pictures for senior videos when they graduate. We have decided that we will have an impromptu show that will basically be a Halloween party. Specifics are coming, but if you are attending, you are required to wear a costume.
Yes, we will be inviting people, so you might get an invitation.
Only if you're a cool kid.
But you have to wear a costume
Yes.
if you're invited. Yep.
So more details to come on that, but we do plan on having some fun festivities for Halloween.
Yay!
And that'll be
Yay!
definitely
Excited.
an off-the-rails, unscripted.
Right. That won't be a show.
100%
There will be
unscripted.
drinking, and it'll be
Much
a Halloween
like-
party for young adults.
Much like our early shows,
And
it
old
will be
adults.
more like the train wreck you're accustomed to.
Mhm.
Yes. And what's our next topic for 2 weeks?
That's it. Wait.
No,
is
that's
there,
not Halloween.
Is there one in between? Shoot.
Yeah,
14.
I'll
Is
write
it
down.
the library or the gender episode? I don't remember.
Looking really fast.
I don't know how to navigate this.
Oh, it's now what?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's like, hey, you funded your book. Now what do you do?
Cry a
what
lot.
that episode
It was
is
say
about.
bathe yourself in the salt of your tears.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yay, lots to look forward to. Yay.
Mhm.
Thank you everyone who participated in our rollicking chat. And thank you to my co-hosts. You've all been lovely and wonderful. And I hope to see some people in the after party, after
Me
chat.
too.
And may all your drinks,
Your drinks be
shared.
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 Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Hi,
night.
everybody.